For millennia, sociocultural evolution has been expressed through creating and building, whether it be temples, theatres, monuments, sculptures, or any other work of art. These masterpieces help to shape our identity, and yet they're often damaged or even destroyed as a result of armed conflict. This destruction can have catastrophic consequences for current and future generations. In 1954, in the aftermath of the massive destruction of cultural property in the Second World War, the international community unanimously recognized the importance of protecting cultural properties from irreversible damage. And in the spirit of universal responsibility, the Convention for the Protection of Cultural Property in the Event of Armed Conflict was born, now broadly referred to as the 1954 Hague Convention. It is the first international treaty with a worldwide vocation focusing on the protection of cultural heritage in the event of an armed conflict. The Convention protects movable or immovable property of great importance to international cultural heritage, such as monuments and architecture, archaeological sites, buildings of historical or artistic interest, buildings dedicated to religion, manuscripts, books, and other objects of artistic, historical, or archaeological value, as well as scientific collections and important collections of archives. The 1954 Hague Convention explicitly prohibits the use of cultural property for purposes which are likely to expose it to destruction or damage in the event of armed conflict, and requires all states parties to refrain from any act of hostility directed against such property. The Convention also requires states parties to foster within their armed forces a spirit of respect for the cultural property of all peoples. A distinctive emblem is used as a symbol to identify and distinguish cultural property during armed conflict. In addition to this, the 1954 Hague Convention has two protocols. The first protocol, among other things, prevents the exportation of cultural property from an occupied territory during hostilities and requires cultural property that has been unlawfully exported to be returned to its original territory. The second protocol, which was adopted in 1999, strengthens the Convention and enhances the protection of cultural heritage in the following ways. It elaborates further on certain terms such as military necessity and preparatory measures, and establishes an enhanced level of protection for cultural property that is of the highest importance for humankind. The protocol also requires states parties to criminalize the deliberate destruction of any cultural property. Furthermore, the 1999 Second Protocol establishes a special fund for the protection of cultural property in the event of armed conflict. This provides emergency assistance to states in their efforts to take preparatory or emergency measures to protect their cultural property. Finally, the Second Protocol establishes a 12-member intergovernmental committee for the protection of cultural property in the event of armed conflict, which is responsible for monitoring the implementation of the protocol. But what is UNESCO? And what is its role in the implementation of the 1954 Hague Convention? UNESCO is a specialized agency of the United Nations which aims to contribute to peace and security by promoting collaboration among the nations through education, science and culture. UNESCO acts as the secretariat of the 1954 Hague Convention and its two protocols. It organizes statutory meetings and implements the decisions of the governing bodies while providing assistance to its member states to help them better protect their cultural heritage. UNESCO also strives to enhance the implementation of other cultural conventions to better protect cultural heritage. These conventions aim to prevent illicit trafficking of cultural property, to protect the world's natural and cultural sites, to preserve underwater cultural heritage, to safeguard intangible cultural heritage, and to promote a diversity of cultural expressions. Despite the efforts of international community, cultural heritage is still at risk and often suffers damage and destruction in times of armed conflict. The destruction of cultural heritage does not just hurt communities, it also threatens long-standing peace around the world. It is imperative we stand united to defend our heritage. In doing so, we demand respect for all people and foster understanding between nations. Since wars begin in the minds of men and women, it is in the minds of men and women that the defences of peace must be constructed.